our careers are not linear. There's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, just as there is in life. Enjoy the ride, get quiet. What is your intuition telling you? And trust the direction that you're being pushed in. We can't control everything. Some ambitious women, we want to have, our hands on the steering wheel of all times, but sometimes you have to just let go, listen, and trust where you're going.
Hello and welcome to the Ambitious Women of Color podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Lynn Rojas. In this episode, we're talking about something ambitious women of color fear more than almost anything: stepping away from your career. My guest is Tatiana Washington, a senior leader with over 10 years in leadership who was laid off 6 weeks after returning from maternity leave. It took a 7-month intentional career break and came back as a senior leader at a new company. Her story is proof that you don't lose your value when you step away, that taking time doesn't mean starting over, and that sometimes the pause is exactly what positions you for something better. We're talking about navigating layoffs, making decisions to take a career break, the identity shift that comes with stepping away, and how she came back stronger. If you've ever been afraid that leaving, even temporarily, will cost you everything you built, this episode's for you. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. And hi, Tatiana. How are you?
Hey, Jessica, I'm well. How are you?
I'm so excited to have you here. So Tatiana and I met years ago doing an AmeriCorps program City Year back in DC in 2011, I want to say,
Yes,
right?
yes, so long ago it
Yeah.
feels like.
So I've loved to follow your journey and where you are, and so excited to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Jessica. I'm excited to talk about all of the things. Life has taken so many interesting turns since we last spoke in 2011. I'm excited to get into it.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with our signature question. So what is one thing that you refuse to sacrifice for your career?
Ooh. I would say my health. I refuse to sacrifice that. I just think that our health, our body, it's at the end of the day, it's the thing that we have, and we have to take care of it. We have to pour into it as much as possible in order to just live a long life. I have done so many different things to protect my health. Been a vegan. You can certainly be a vegan for non-health reasons, but I've been vegan, I've been pescatarian, I've competed in a bodybuilding competition before. Again, you can compete in a bodybuilding and it not be related to health. But I've done all of the things. Weight lift outside of bodybuilding, long hikes, marathon, all the things, girl. It's just really important to me, and I
Yeah, and as we explore those things, I remember seeing your journey bodybuilding, and I thought that was so impressive of you doing that. Sometimes maybe it might be for health reasons, or maybe it's, to try something new around that health and wellness. But once you start going into those practices and those things and really pouring into yourself and finding what are the things that you like and what are the things that can make health and wellness fun for you, then you really start just seeing the changes, transformative changes that it has. Cause I try vegetarian and I miss fish. So then I did the
Mhm.
pescatarian. So I was a pescatarian when I was in DC for 2 years. And then when I came back to the Bay Area, I went back to the meat.
I understand. I understand.
But yeah, so I totally get that. I'm so glad that for you, one of your values is your health and something that you refuse to sacrifice because it is so important. Because regardless of anything you do, especially around career, if your health is not a priority, it is definitely going to suffer and you will get that alarm and you're going to have to listen to it. So it's
Mhm.
better to start protecting it before you get there.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what I find is like when we're clear about that thing that we're not willing to sacrifice, it starts to, I guess, bleed over into other areas of our life. And you start to become better at like setting boundaries and being clear with like
Hmm.
the thing in your life that helps to center and ground you. Like for me personally, when life is chaotic, when schedules are crazy, when the house is a mess because my daughter has like kitchen toys everywhere, I know that when I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm at that gym by 7 a.m., that it's kind of like the grounding of my day. Like everything else can be
Hmm.
chaotic, but this is like the one place where it's me versus me. It's all about what I put in. And this is the space for me to like be this disciplined beast that I am. And so if everything else just goes to crap throughout the day, like the things you can't control, at least like I have that one space and that personally just like keeps me sane. If I don't go to the gym throughout the week, I start to feel very frazzled, unorganized, because I don't have my centering spot, right? Like when you become a mother,
Yeah.
there's just so many things that are out of your control, and you are like literally at the whim of your kid. So yeah, I need that space as like my anchor.
And that's so important, especially for someone like you or people in that similar position, like, a senior leader in a nonprofit, you've been like a leader for so many years, and you have to like find your non-negotiables and what are the things that are important to you to be able to grow in your career without sacrificing. I mean, that's like what this whole podcast is about. Like, how can you grow in your career without sacrificing everything in your life? It's so important finding the time to pour into yourself first. And I say, like, if you can do that first thing in the morning, that's the best because it sets the tone for your day. Like, it literally helps you come, like, level set it, more regulated. It goes beyond, like, I'm going to spend this time working out, but it's spend this time on my mind, on my body, on my soul, and just that time for me where, like you said, everything in the world doesn't matter and you're just focusing on what you're doing then. So now you can show up a better version of you for work, for your marriage, for your daughter, and for everything else. So I've loved for people to get to know your story, and I mean I feel like you've navigated so many things that are relatable to our audience. So I would love for you to just like introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, for sure. This is actually super timely because I've had 2025 was a year. So I think folks are gonna really this is gonna be a treat. Again, I'm Tatiana Washington, y'all. I've been in the nonprofit space for gosh, the past 15 years. I've always been connected to mission driven work. That's how Jessica and I met. And at that time, I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do in my career. I thought that I was gonna like move to DC. I'm from Chicago, as you know, and my goal was to get back to Europe because I studied abroad in Europe, in Paris specifically. And so I didn't know how to get back there. All I knew is that I like helping people and I want to go to Europe. So there has to be some place in DC that'll help get me there. And my mentor told me about the organization that we were at City Year, and literally the rest is history. Once I started working alongside young people, and once I just like started entering school buildings and helping young girls with like leadership development, and we would do etiquette classes, and we ran Greater Than a Girl, which is an after school program that we like started from scratch. Once I got into that, I knew, okay, this is where I want to be. And my career literally took off from there. I've worked at several different nonprofits such as Boys and Girls Club, James Jordan Foundation. I've worked at City Year. My most recent experience though, in the part of my story that I know folks are gonna find really interesting is that I started transition from more like your partnerships work in nonprofit to helping organizations scale and grow and increase their revenue footprint. And so that was a direction that I never quite saw myself go into. But for the folks out there who are familiar with mission driven work and nonprofits specifically, you know that you're going to wear many different hats when you're there. And that could
Mhm.
sometimes be for good or bad. But for me, it was for good because I was exposed to just other avenues within the field. I was kind of at the end of my rope with partnerships work. I was just kind of getting a little fatigued of it. So once my past organization transitioned over to um, starting a sales part of the organization. At that time, that felt very different and foreign for nonprofit work. You certainly don't think of sales and
Mhm.
nonprofit work to go hand in hand, but it was such a cool experience to literally take this organization from being focused in one city to now having a footprint across 4 to 5 different states in the Midwest. It was a very exciting time, and it kinda earmarked the direction I saw my career going into. So I'm at this point in my career at this organization. I'm doing sales work. It's great. It's new. It's fresh. I was kind of starting to become disconnected from the mission of that organization, though, but I was comfortable, fine, whatever. Making six figures, I think that that's important to be explicit about that
Yeah.
because sometimes folks misunderstand what a salary could look like in mission driven work. So
Mhm.
just putting that out there. But anyway, and I became pregnant with my daughter. I went on maternity leave. My organization at the time had 4 months maternity leave, which is unheard of in the United States, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it was fully paid. I didn't have to use any of my benefits. I didn't have to get half pay, fully paid salary for 4 months. It was lovely. I returned back to work, and 6 months later, I was laid off. My position was eliminated. My daughter at the time was 4 months, 4 or 5 months, and I wasn't mad about it. It was fine. There was certainly an initial, like, shock to the system of like, "Oh, damn,
Yeah.
I just came back to work and I'm laid off." But you know what? I instantly had the feeling of, "This sucks," and I'm a true believer of going with the wave of life and
Mhm.
being like water throughout life and just going with the flow. And I'm also a very spiritual person and my intuition is directly connected to my source. So when my first reaction was like this sucks and great, let's explore what this phase of life is going to look like. I knew that that was the feeling that I was supposed to ride with. So yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom. My partner and I decided that, we did some reviewing of our budgets and all those types of logistical things, and we were like, let's do the stay-at-home mom thing. And so that's what I did. That I don't know if I should go into detail of that right now. I'm sure you're gonna have a follow-up question about that, but that ushered in a completely different phase of my life that I had never seen nor envisioned for myself, and it was beautiful, up until I decided to transition back to work, which has also been a beautiful journey as well.
I love that you mentioned that to level set where you were like 8 years a senior leader at this time when you got
Yeah.
laid off. Yeah. So I feel like the assumption that so many have is that, especially if you're in that space, like I'm a senior leader, like I'm safe, my job is safe. Or, some people might think like they're in that position and now they're freaking out like, what am I going to do? And, you fall into that scarcity mindset of like, what if there's nothing else for me there? And the fact that you were saying like it sucked because you can have both of those thoughts like this sucks, but maybe this is gonna, lead me to the right path. And you had just spent 4 months with your daughter. So this
Mhm.
gave you the opportunity to spend more time with her. And I want to dive into that, like maybe like some of the thoughts that you were processing and how you like made the best out of that decision. And I think like one of the key things you said is like your spirituality and intuition and trusting that this was part of the plan, like the greater plan for your life, and that there was going to be a purpose and you were going with the flow like in a positive way, not like going with the flow like I'm just gonna be stuck and not do something about it, but like if this is where life was putting you, you were going to make the best of it and you trusted that that was best for you. So I would love to like dive there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Wow. It's so weird talking about it because it wasn't anything that I thought about. I just did. I truly believe that when you're in alignment with your spiritual path, your path is going to illuminate like the yellow brick road. You're going to know exactly what to do, where to go, and how to get there. And from the outside world, you may look like you're bonkers. Like, what are you doing? Why are you walking in that direction? Why are you going in that path? But when you're aligned, you just know and you just go and it just flows. So when I decided to stay at home with my daughter, I just knew that that was the right thing to do. Of course, I consulted with my parents. I still talk to them about everything, and they were fully on board, and my partner was fully on board, which definitely like made the decision, feel better. But I don't
Mhm.
have anything tangible to say around that. I just knew that that's what I was supposed to do. So much so that my former employer, they eliminated my position and one of my colleagues' position, and then they essentially merged the positions together and they opened the role for just myself and her. That's it. No one else could apply. And so I had the chance to apply for this role. I had a 50% chance of getting it, right? Only two of us could apply and one of us could get it. I turned that down and
Mhm.
said, no, I don't even want to do that because it felt to do that, it felt like I was moving on fear. And it felt like I wasn't trusting what my gut and what my source was directing me to do. So I told them, you know what? I'm good. And they were like, are you sure? Like, you just had a baby and your position's got eliminated. Are you sure you want to apply? And again, from the outside, it looks crazy, right? And I was like, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm good. I know what I'm supposed I know what my assignment is right now. In that chapter, I call it my personal springtime because in springtime, the birds are chirping, the flowers are blooming, and that's what that time felt like with my daughter. I had never seen a Black stay-at-home mother before, ever. In my family, I've seen motherhood be associated with struggle, with grind,
Mm,
with, you know, fast pace, a lot of folks raising children on their own, not having partnership, not having much help besides the other women in our family. So I got the chance to start an entirely different page of motherhood. And should my daughter become a mother when she gets older, if she makes that
mhm.
choice, I'm putting her on a completely different path. We would drive to the library and sit for story time. I had never seen anyone do that before. We would take walks in the neighborhood and stop at Cava for lunch. I had never seen anyone do that before. There was no sense of urgency during that time of my life. It was truly my springtime. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
Yes.
just to summarize it, it was an intuitive feeling. I just knew what I needed to do during that time, and I knew that she needed me, and I needed to pour into that time for, as much as I could. And it was even thinking about it, I swear I'm not even like overly romanticizing this. It was truly one of the best times of my life. And also when you have a baby girl, the sleep is just like non-existent. I couldn't imagine. My daughter, she didn't start sleeping through the night until she was about 14 months old. So 14 months, I was having broken sleep, waking up 1 to 3 times a night, my partner and I. I couldn't imagine doing that and still having to get up at
Yeah.
8 o'clock for work.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. But first of all, like, I love that for you. I love that you got to spend that time with your daughter. It just sounds so beautiful. And one of the key things in that is showing other women when you are breaking cycles of what you had seen in your lineage, that you had never seen a stay at home Black woman that is doing it on purpose,
Mhm.
that is choosing to stay at home and choosing to pause her career in that moment. So I feel like that is so many cycles that have been broken or,
Yeah.
just right there. So, like you said, you already set a completely different path for your daughter where she gets to have that modeled, that she had the time with you and that you had the time with her. And that's like something that you're going to forever cherish and be able to have that bonding that you didn't have to be like half awake, working and trying to be there for her while you were still trying to figure out motherhood. So, that's pretty amazing. And then the second thing is, especially for other women who are afraid of becoming mothers while they're in established careers and thinking if I leave the workforce, even if it's like just for maternity leave, right? Let alone for were you like 14 months away from your career?
Mhm.
And yet, like you came back to the same level of roles.
Mhm.
It didn't impact your career in a negative way. So I'd love to like dive into that because I feel like so many women are afraid to have babies in the first place. And then they're afraid, okay, when I come back from maternity leave, what if this impacts, how they view me in my career? Or what if, I have setbacks and because life goes on in corporate or in nonprofit and it's not going to be waiting for you. But this is showing others that when like you trust your intuition and you trust yourself and you know that you're going to come back and even stronger because now you're a different version of yourself
Mhm.
and you had that time to like rest and that time to like be intentional with your family and not coming back like feeling upset that you have to come back to work and not be able to be with your daughter, or upset that like now you have to give up those things to go back to work. So I just love that for you. And also that, people can see that this is possible. You can take a break and it's not going to literally break your career.
Yeah.
You can come back stronger. And yeah, like talk to us about like what was that like for you getting back into the workforce and still being in like that senior level and being in a different company.
Yeah, for sure. You know that Britney Spears song, Stronger Than Yesterday? Stronger.
Mhm.
I'm not a singer, y'all. Um, that song is kinda like the soundtrack of where I am right now because coming back into my career, Jessica, I am like a completely different woman. Like, becoming a mother, you grind different, you think different, you hustle different, you lead differently because it's no longer just about me. I'm literally providing for my lineage. You know what I mean? Like I have a little girl
Mhm.
who is looking at every single thing that I do, and the habits and thought patterns that I have now are going to influence the woman that she becomes, right? So it behooves me to grind harder. It's not even a thing that I'm thinking about. Again, when you're in alignment, it just happens, right? Like
Mhm.
I remember before I was a mother, I was in my career, things were going great, and I was just very comfortable, girl. I was just there. I didn't have a hustle. I wasn't out there trying to network and meet different people and think about, how to create my own thing, thinking about multiple streams of income. Like I would have the thoughts, but I did not have the action because I was very comfortable and there wasn't
Mhm.
any fire under me. But now that I have a little girl who's looking at me, I'm like in the boxing ring every day. Like, let's go. What event we're going to this week? Who am I gonna meet next week? You know what I mean? What are the things that I'm gonna do to elevate my career? Coming back into my career in this role, I went from leading a regional team to now sitting on a national team, which means that my
Mm.
responsibility for growth and revenue generation is even larger, which is really exciting for me. But aside from just like my responsibilities at work, coming back into my career, I quickly understood that the Tatiana Washington brand is my priority. And everything that I do has to feed into that. Whereas before, I was an employee at a organization and I was cool with that. But I now recognize that that's not enough to impact my lineage. That's not enough
Mhm.
to give my daughter that next leg up and foot up when it's her time to come out into the world and figure out the woman that she's going to be. I now think about coming into this career like, okay, what are the different streams of income I want to have, right? In my job, which I
Mhm.
love my organization, but that's just one thing. That can't be the thing that defines me anymore. We don't live in a world where that is even possible and you can live a certain lifestyle, and also, again, I want my daughter to just have more and see more.
And I wanted to touch on what you said about Tatiana Washington, the brand. A lot of us grew up believing like, let's climb the ladder and climb it
Mhm.
all the way to the top if we can, right? And that is the only way for your career to go. And I love that you are seeing yourself more as a brand because you're the asset, right? Because before, if you're thinking of yourself as like, I'm just an employee, I'm replaceable anytime. So I have to prove that I belong. I need to prove that I need to be here. I need to prove that I'm dispensable or that I'm valuable. But when you view yourself as a brand and an asset, it's like you are beyond that employer, right? And especially for women of color and for us that want to build that generational wealth or even just branch out of like just the traditional W 2 work. If you want to really make an impact, I mean, this is what everyone else, this is what like more wealthy people do. Is like they don't just stick to one source of income. And yes, you can have a full career, W-2 career, but what are other ways that you can expand yourself and expand your income? And that is something that we definitely didn't get modeled in our cultures. And that is something that we can make that change. How are some ways that, you are expanding yourself and focusing more on your brand or your portfolio career because like there's more beyond you senior director in this nonprofit work. There's so much more that you could be doing strategically and intentionally to be able to build that generational wealth or just even not even just about the money, but like expanding your skill sets and being that asset.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Jessica, everything you're saying is like hitting my soul right now. Yes, 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 yes. And I don't have a concrete answer yet because I'm discovering and learning. I think I figured out more of what I don't want to do more than what I do want. No, that's not true. I think I do. I know for a fact that when it comes to like entrepreneurship, because that's the world where this starts to live in, that is like not
Mhm.
my thing. I enjoy the comforts and structure that comes with the traditional 2, 9 to 5 flexible work environments.
Mhm.
And so I've battled that, right? Like we live in this world where like content creation is king, but I don't really like social media like that. I don't I don't the posting and I used to do that when I was into bodybuilding, but the social media landscape has transformed so much from that. It used to be where you could just like record a video as you're walking and post it and that's it. Now it's filters and
Mhm.
editing and putting it through platforms to do it's a lot of work and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have that in me." So I know that that's the direction that I don't wanna go into. But I enjoy teaching. I'm an educator at heart. I've never taught in the classroom, but it is a goal of mine to teach at the collegiate level. I would love to become an adjunct professor.
Mhm.
That's something that I'm passionate about. I would love to do consultant work for other mission-driven organizations, especially small ones who are trying to figure out how to scale. I would love to consult.
And that's still entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You're right. You're right.
I'm like,
It is.
being a consultant is still entrepreneurship. Yes. Well, first, like one of the things I want to challenge is because you were saying you don't want entrepreneurship, but maybe it's just the way that you're viewing it, right? Because
Mm,
yes, social media is important, but if there are areas or skill sets that is not something that you either have the time or the skill set to do, then that is something that you could definitely delegate to someone else. But like at the core, like even just doing consulting work, that right there is, you know, entrepreneurship and you being able to consult with companies, especially like all the rich knowledge that you've learned in your roles. You were in partnership and then you moved into the business of nonprofit, which, like you mentioned, not a lot of organizations do that work.
mhm.
So you're coming with like a different lens and experience that not your average nonprofit leader has. So that right there is so rich that you can definitely consult. And I can totally see you also being a professor, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. But one of the things around the consulting work is that, like, it's something that you can still do while you're doing this role, being able to show nonprofits, like, what are the benefits of like having a product that they can sell.
Mm.
And like what you are doing in that experience in sales already is teaching you what are the skills that you would need if you decided to become a business owner and entrepreneur and like go that path. You're learning it in a bigger scale in a nonprofit that you could, definitely be able to build your own startup one day.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. My partner has been pushing for me to become a consultant literally since the day we met 4 years ago. He's like, "You need to be doing your own thing." And it wasn't until I became a mother and entered back into the workforce, which at this point has been like 60 days. It wasn't until that point that I realized I can do this. I birthed a human. I can run my own business. It's just
Yes.
I think a big part of it for a while for me was that fear, and it's what you said, like, we weren't raised to think about our careers in that way. So I have like some old rumblings that I need to shake off, but I feel that I'm ready. I don't think I have that fear anymore right now. It's just more about like time. Like, girl, how do you raise a
Yeah.
kid, run a home, work out, go to work, eat your vegetables, and watch TV at the end of the night? It's so much. But I agree with you, and thank you for that challenge. All of that is entrepreneurship. It's just how I have viewed it before I became a mom, but I think I'm ready. I also have like desires to get into real estate. The neighborhood that I live that I live in Chicago has a
Mhm.
lot of just like cool revitalization projects going on. And I want to be involved to make sure that this doesn't turn into a gentrification effort. That's a different podcast topic for a different day. But I have a lot of different like desires of different lanes that I want to get in, but consulting is 1000% one.
And you have plenty of time. You just became a new mother, and that really showed you like what you're made of and
Mhm.
that you are capable of so much more. So keep pouring into your passions, into the things you're interested in, and believing that like when the right time is for you, you can really explore those options. But it's to not limiting yourself, like you said exactly. Like, even when I started my coaching business, or like I still have my full-time career as well. And even starting this podcast, like I never pictured myself doing any of these things because I was never modeled those things. I never thought of like being a business owner, an entrepreneur, or investing or anything like that because those were not things we grew up learning. So it's up to like, yes, those things might sound scary, but digging deep and like understanding, is this a fear that I have because this is how I grew up and, the stories I was told or the experiences that I had or the people that I saw, but really challenging it and like not letting yourself be limiting yourself
Mhm.
because it sounds scary, but okay, is it fear or this thing is just not for me and not letting the fear be the thing stopping us? How are you? Because you said it's only been 60 days, right? But how are you really navigating like getting back into the workforce, being a leader in a new organization? So you have that like national level responsibility and leading teams and driving revenue and being a new mom all at the same time while, like you said, eating your vegetables
Mhm.
and making time for work out. Like, how are you balancing all that?
Ooh, girl, a lot of conversations with AI trying to help me just optimize my schedule. And it's just the discipline to figure it all out. I don't have it all figured out. I think last week I worked out 3 times last week, but my goal is 5, right? And giving myself grace, trying not to operate in extremes, and being okay with working out 3 times, out of the week and not feeling like I have to do
Mhm.
5 or else, 'cause I can become that person as
And 3 is
well.
better than nothing.
Yes, very true. 3 is better than nothing. Resisting the urge to compare Tatiana now to Tatiana before she became a mom, and I know moms out there will totally relate to that. You start to feel like, "Well, I used to be able to do this, so I can do it now," and the reality is that I'm a totally different woman, and I have to honor who I am now and where I am now and not comparing myself. So I don't have an answer on how I'm doing it all because girl, every day is a new day. In my book, as long as I'm up at 6 o'clock, I'm winning. My daughter is up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So as long as I'm up, I have some time to myself in the morning. My morning goes slow. If I make it to the gym, amazing, then I'm doing something right. Gosh, yeah. I don't I will also say this, the fact that my role this is very important. The fact that my organization is fully remote, which obviously gives me a level of flexibility, it's what's anchoring my life and me not going crazy.
It's so great that, you are able to work remotely. And is this the first time that you are working remotely? And how has it changed now, how you're approaching your career and how you're approaching your responsibilities? I know that you say you don't have the answers to balancing it all, but like, how is it now different for you, like being back in the workforce while you're also at home and, doing it differently? Because I feel like sometimes people, especially like, women of color, we don't realize how much flexibility, or not even just like flexibility at work, but how there are so many different versions of what you could be doing and how you can be working and finding that work life balance that works for you. So I work remotely as well. I mean, I don't have kids yet, but I work remotely. And before COVID, I never would have pictured myself. I didn't think that that was something for me, but now it's a non negotiable for me. And I'm sure, when I become a mother, it's going to be probably something beneficial, but sometimes you don't realize like all of the options that are actually available out there. So, yeah, maybe your specific job might not allow for work from home, but then you can find another job where it's not going to impact your pay or it's not going to impact the level you're in and you can still do quality work. while being remote. So, like, how does that look like for you?
Yeah, I was remote at my last job. It started off remote, then it turned into hybrid, and we had to come in office, I think, maybe like once or twice a week or something like that. So being fully remote now, it's not a new thing for me, and it was
Okay.
actually something that was a non-negotiable. When I was interviewing for jobs, I interviewed for this really like exciting position, but they had to be in office 3 days a week. And
Mm.
I just couldn't I couldn't quite frankly, I couldn't picture myself doing it. So when I got this position, I was just so excited. Not only am I remote, but the headquarters is in California. That means
Oh,
that my work hours, yeah, that means that at 9 AM in Oakland, which is where we're headquartered, it's 11 AM in Chicago, right? It's totally fine for me to, have flexible hours and maybe work from, like, 11 to 7, right? Because it's still appropriate for the hours where our headquarters are. So it's great. I will say though that since becoming a mother and working remote, I'm very intentional on carving out time for myself outside of the house because when it was just me living at home, I was not as like it's just you, right? Like your house looks however you need it to look, but when it turns into three people and then a cat and a dog, like, you have to stay on top of everything, and so I try to be
that's exhausting.
intentional on girl, I try to be very intentional on not confusing working from home with I'm running my home while I'm working, right? So,
Mhm.
every day is not a I'm doing laundry and dishes in between meetings, like, I'm intentional, like, "No, get dressed up, go to a co-working space, have some lunch while you're out, buy you a coffee, you know what I mean? And like really
Mhm.
enjoy being away from the family and having my me time. And before I wasn't intentional about that. I would just work from home all the time. But now I have to get out of the house. I mean, hello, I was at home with my daughter for 14, 15 months. Now I'm like itching to like have somewhere to go and like get out.
Yeah, adult conversations.
That Yeah, yeah, I wanna be around other people who are working, you know what I mean? And so the co-working spaces have been, like, such a godsend, I love them, but, yeah, that's the difference this time around is, like, making sure I'm carving out to myself and treating my days as, like, a day for me and not always revolving around my family.
I love that because so many women of color, because I feel like all of these things are so relatable that, you think I need to sacrifice everything for my family or everything for my career, or you need to be giving all of these things in your life and identities your 100%. And it's obviously not possible to give your 100% to your career, to your kid, to your husband, to your home, and all of that. Like you said, like finding what works for you. So, like, for you, being intentional about like your work day and going away because you know that's going to be better for you. You're going to be more productive. You're going to be able to like mentally step away from your home and not be thinking about the things that you need to do versus, sometimes when we are home and we know that there's dishes and we know that there's laundry that needs to be done, like sometimes it's hard that separation. So for somebody, like it might be necessary to physically put some boundaries in space. But for others, maybe it is like you have certain hours where, like, okay, from this time to this time is what these are the things that I get to do, and I can take care of all those other things another time. But it's really being intentional about your time, your effort, what you're giving, and being present because, like, if you are with your daughter, you don't want to be thinking about work. So it's like, how can I create my day or, again, like my version of work life balance where I get to still be present in the moments that matter, give it my all at work when I'm working, give it my all at home when I'm with my kid or, with my partner so that everybody's getting the best version of you and you're getting the best version of you.
Absolutely. And you know what? As you were saying that, I have to shout out the village, aka the folks who allow my partner and I to be able to do what you just said. First off, I have to shout out my partner. He is an amazing father to our daughter. It almost feels weird whenever I talk about this because I didn't realize how that's a different podcast for a different day as well. Just how different folks show up differently when a child is born. And my partner, he has just been such a rock for me. I nurse my daughter. I'm still nursing. She'll be 17 months this month. And that is a separate job from being a mother, and just the amount of support and help that I have, from him, and he's just great, right? And we also have my mother and our niece who watches our
Mm-hmm.
daughter Monday through Thursday, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're able to step away from the house and, work in the co-working spaces and do the things that we need to because we have that help in that village fully present for us every week.
Yeah, and that's the support that you need to find, especially like you said, being a mom, being in a partnership, and being able to have that work-life balance because of that support. So, yeah, definitely start building that support system before you need it, and
Mhm.
be able to be there for them so that they can be there for you when you need it. So, I've loved everything about our episode. And I know that you have like some nuggets. So I wanted to do rapid fire questions, advice that you can give ambitious women in different scenarios. So, like, what would you want ambitious women to know if they're senior leaders who are afraid to take time off?
Ooh. I would say that our careers are not linear. There's gonna be peaks, there's going to be valleys, just as there is in life. Enjoy the ride, get quiet. What is your intuition telling you? And trust the direction that you're being pushed in. We can't control everything. Some ambitious women, we wanna have, our hands on the steering wheel of all times, but sometimes you have to just let go, listen, and trust where you're going.
I love that. What about women facing layoffs and wondering if they'll bounce back?
You will bounce back. Again, our careers are not linear. I urge you to once again get quiet and see what is the message behind the layoff. I think that we are guided and pushed into direction. Sometimes we're guided and we go. Sometimes we're pushed because we don't listen. And so I would tell them whatever is meant for you is going to be on the other side of that layoff. Trust, get quiet, and listen.
I love that. Okay. And mothers trying to figure out if they can do both.
You can do both. Get a support system.
Yes, that village. All right, and final one. What are the lessons you learned that you wish someone told you?
Goodness. Invest in yourself. It's what we were saying earlier. You're the brand, you're the asset. You're not just another person clocking in and clocking out. So invest in yourself. Get those certifications, take those courses, become curious about where your career could go. Do all of the things that you want to do. I don't know if I would be so focused on like what's going to bring me money, right? Because
Mhm.
that may not always equal the things that you're passionate about, but think about the things that you're passionate about and make you happy and figure out how to incorporate that into your life, whether it's paid or not. I was told that before, but I wish I would have listened, but then maybe it wasn't time for me to hone in on that. So,
Yeah.
I'll leave that there.
No, I love that. Well, thank you so much. This conversation has been so powerful and helping,
Yes.
other leaders know that they can take time off, come back strong, and it doesn't mean starting over. So, before we wrap up, one final question. What is one thing you want listeners to take away from this conversation, especially women of color who are at crossroads and afraid that their career might never recover if they step away?
It's gonna be more of what I said, and I know I'm sounding redundant, but it's just what I know to be true. When something is meant for you, when it's time for you to do something, your is going to illuminate like the yellow brick road. And once that illumination hits your face, it will behoove you to follow it. Meditate, spend time outside, connect to whatever or whoever your source is. If you believe that there's a bigger energy that's navigating your life, connect with that energy, and lean in and trust.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And if anyone would like to connect with you, are you open with like a professional connection or
Yeah, absolutely. The best way is going to be on LinkedIn. And you can find me through my full name, Tatiana Washington. I have on a hot pink blazer in my profile picture. That won't change because I just love that picture. But yeah, you can find
it
me
is
on
fabulous.
LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you, thank you. My partner shot that, B King Media, for those who are listening, if you're needing headshots. But yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much. This was wonderful. I hope this episode showed you that stepping away doesn't mean starting over, and that your value doesn't expire when life asks you to pause. And if Tatiana's story resonated with you, if you're taking a career break, been laid off, are navigating a major life transition, or trying to figure out how to re-enter or level up in your career while also managing everything life is throwing at you. This is exactly what I help my clients navigate in one-on-one private coaching. Here's what that looks like. First, we get clear on where you are and where you want to go. If you've been out of the workforce, we'll work on how to position your experience, including your break, so it reads like an asset, not a gap. You'll walk away knowing exactly how to tell your story, what roles to target, and how to show up in interviews and conversations with the confidence of someone who knows their worth. Then, we'll build your re-entry or advancement strategy, where that means negotiating your salary coming back in, identifying the right organizations, or mapping out your path to the title and pay you're going for. We get specific, not generic advice. A plan built around your background, your industry, and your life right now. So you're not just getting back in, you're getting back in at the level you deserve. And we work on the identity piece, because whether you've been on maternity leave, navigating a layoff, or just trying to figure out what's next, there's a version of you that's questioning if you still have it. We address that directly, so you stop second-guessing yourself and start making moves from clarity, not fear. This is customized coaching that helps you get the title, the pay, and the recognition you've earned even when life didn't go according to plan. If that resonates, DM me on Instagram at Jessica Lynn Rojas, or book a consult call at jessicalynn-wellness.com/scheduling. If you want a deeper support straight to your inbox, join my email community, Dear Ambitious Women of Color. Link is in the show notes. Take care of yourselves, career baddies. Vámonos.